Marco Moreno here with Christian Garcia and where's Jay? Oh, there he is.
There he is.
And Jay Lopez to what are we doing here? Just hang out and talk about. Really, it's about talking about with each other, but the excuse is that we're gonna talk about Jiu-Jitsu, right?
How's your Thursday so far?
My Thursday, quiet. We had to close the school. What's crazy is that around noon, of course, the morning was snowing and then it turned into ice. And I took the decision to close the school. And then it stopped around 1. But I already sent a message that the school was going to be closed. And I guess there is no... How is it out there now? I haven't checked in a while, so... but it's been quiet here at the house, chilling. Actually, I was preparing some videos for YouTube. And what about you guys? Christian?
Good.
Man, I called out work this morning. I was going to my car and I see the snow was like half of the wheels of the truck. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to call out. And I stay home with the kids. When it stopped snowing, I don't know what time was it, like 5 or 6. We went outside and play in the snow with the kids. And yeah, we got a pretty good amount of snow out here in Winchester.
Jay, how was your day?
It was good. It was productive. I worked from home. I went out and shoveled some ice. It was more ice than it was snow over here where we're at. And that's a good workout. So that was essentially my workout for the day, is shoveling ice and snow for about an hour. So that was my workout.
Man, you have to have good technique, because if you don't use a good shoveling technique, you can hurt your back really bad.
Right.
How's your foot, Jay? Last time we talked, you still was recovering from that foot injury.
It's getting better, slowly but surely. You know, I'm taking it easy on it. There's a certain plane that if I move it to a certain way or a certain degree, like it moves a certain way, it reminds me that there's still a little bit of an injury there. But for the most part, I'm icing it, heating it, and then when I'm teaching, I wear my brace. You know,
my favorite.
When Christian's not leg locking my brace.
When you put the brace, we know which foot is it. You should put braces on both.
You get the easy tap in there.
Christian's like attack the foot, like when I'm sparring with somebody, attack the foot.
Attack his left foot.
You wanna tap a brown belt? There's your chance.
For people who's watching,
adjustments.
For people who's watching right now, let us know if you have any questions. We're here. If you want to participate, just send us a message. We'll be happy to talk with you. I guess the first question could be, what do you do when you want to do Jiu-Jitsu and the school is closed? Could be because of a holiday or a snow day like today. What do you do? Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Christian.
Well, what was the question again?
What? Christian, please, the door is... Jay.
Yes. So on any day that you're not able to go train jiu-jitsu, whether it be weather related, whether it be because you're injured, whether it be because you have other prior scheduling conflicts, whatever the case, watch your videos. If you have access to your videos, do all your little jiu-jitsu movements, the ones that we do in the school, and then just have fun, or just rest. Just rest. If you want to just rest and have a rest day and not train and just watch your videos, nothing wrong with it at all. All those are good options that you will have in case you can't go into the school.
Man, I like it. I like rest, right? I want to do jiu-jitsu, but I can't right now. Just rest. It's almost like I remember when the pandemic hit and everybody had to go on lockdown. And I think it might have been Hiro Gracie who said, we are doing Jiu-Jitsu right now by staying patient, right? So being patient is almost like doing Jiu-Jitsu. And of course, yes, you can watch videos. It's great. Take that opportunity. You have free time. You cannot do Jiu-Jitsu at the school, but you can watch some videos and maybe review some details or some micro adjustments that you might have missed from. We mentioned macro adjustments a lot, right? But for the people who don't know the whole micro adjustment story, because we've been saying that a lot, Jake, what was the story behind the whole? It's almost like an inside joke. Can you tell us what happened?
So essentially, yes. So essentially, there we and Christian knows this too, and Marco probably know this too. Is that on Facebook or on Instagram, there's tons of groups for cars, groups for motorcycles, groups for everything you could possibly think of. And I'm a part of this group called BJJ Everything. And what happened is somebody posted a thread. They screenshotted a thread of an individual who this individual was a white belt. And this white belt was narrating this sparring session that he had with this purple belt. And mind you, again, nobody has confirmed if this is an actual white belt or if this is an actual purple belt that this happened to. Nobody has confirmed this. The story goes is that this white belt, the term he uses, I in a very sneaky fashion took the purple belts back. And after a few micro adjustments, I was able to reluctantly get the tap from the purple belt. So what happened is after that was posted, everybody showed up and started saying, I wasn't able to work really good on my car today, but after a few micro adjustments, I was able to get the oil changed.
Right.
You know, so the joke is that everything jiu-jitsu related, whether it be competition, whether it be how to tie your belt, whether it be how should I spar with a white belt, whether it be how come I keep getting tapped by my black belt professor. The joke is now, well, you need to try more micro adjustments, you know.
Exactly.
I'm having relationship problems with my significant other. Oh, you need to try micro adjustments.
Work on your micro adjustments, bro.
Right. So, and evidently, this individual, Jason Bjornsson, told me this individual that coined that phrase, micro adjustments, now has a clothing line with t-shirts and hoodies.
He's making money.
I have not been to this website. Right. I have not been to this website, but Jason said that this individual is making hoodies. He's making t-shirts.
That's crazy.
Right.
Good for him, though.
Man. Right, yeah.
It's amazing how sometimes you kind of struck gold by a viral video. Remember that guy recently who was just in a skateboard singing Fleetwood Mac and drinking what was it? Cranberry juice?
Ocean Spray, I think. Ocean Spray, yeah.
And I think he also started making some money, man.
He got sponsored by the Cranberry juice company.
Or even that girl, the Cash Me Outside girl.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Jeez.
We have here our brother Not Enough Time 34 watching. How is it going, brother? Thank you for watching. We always have
my screen name to. I can change my screen name to like Master Colonel or something like.
Oh, you
like
can.
cool like
I
that?
think. Can you? I think so. Also, shout out.
Gorilla Kid.
Really?
My Call of Duty.
Also, shout out to Taylor. Taylor, she always says she always watch our videos. So
Taylor,
shout out. I told her.
Trigiani?
Yes, I told her next time we're live, I'm gonna say, "Hi Taylor, I hope you're good."
Hi Taylor.
What's up, Taylor?
Cool. What else? Oh, the topic today we were thinking about discussing was Jiu-Jitsu as a sport versus Jiu-Jitsu as self-defense, right? Heather actually kind of suggested this topic, and I guess the first question would be: we understand that Jiu-Jitsu is both self-defense and a sport, a self-defense martial art, and a sport with rules and regulations. Um, which should you practice? Should you practice Jiu-Jitsu as a self-defense, or should you practice Jiu-Jitsu as a sport activity? Who wants to start? What do you guys think?
You can start.
Christian, go ahead.
Some people start it as a hobby. You know, they want to practice some kind of martial arts. They want to learn something. You know, like they didn't get the chance to learn when they were kids. They didn't have the chance to learn karate, kung fu. I don't know, some type of martial arts. And nowadays it's pretty famous and pretty popular. Everybody knows, like on your neighborhoods, at least somebody knows a little bit of martial art, right? And there's the time where, like, you know, I want to go to the gym, but sometimes you go to a regular gym, it's kind of boring, just staying there, like lifting weights, you know. And I think what people actually looking is that community, you know, the what do you call the group, you know, of jiu-jitsu, so like the camaraderie. I don't know if I say that right.
Camaraderie, yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Camaraderie, yeah. So it's, you know, how in the Basix we got a really good environment with the students, and everybody like get along really good. It's like family, you know. You become family, jiu-jitsu family, and I think that's why a lot of people looking. And you get also the self-defense and the competition, so you get to the point that you understand what self-defense. Like, for example, yesterday I was teaching the la hiva guard. The first thing I told the students was, you know, this is a sport guard. This is not self-defense that when you close your legs and you hold the head and protect punches, your face is exposed. So every time me and Jay teach something like that, we always explain them the difference between sport jiu-jitsu, self-defense jiu-jitsu, right, Jay?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's personal preference. I mean, I think if somebody wants to train and compete in sport, they should do that. You know, obviously, if they want to train and they want to learn a skill that's going to help defend them or their family, or help keep them safe. You know, me personally, in the field I'm in, I choose the self-defense aspect over the sport aspect. It's just personal preference. I think that, again, like when you teach sport exclusive, I think it's incumbent on the professor just to give disclaimers saying that, look, in an actual street fight or an actual incident where you're going to the ground, all right, you don't initiate a guard pull or a sport guard, an open sport guard, and then tell them the benefits and the shortcomings about why you shouldn't use sport techniques in a street self-defense situation. If they don't know and they want to know, then they need to seek out a professor that actively promotes self-defense over sport, and to answer their questions. It'd be like me asking a question about firearms and I don't get the answer I want. I need to seek out somebody who's a subject matter expert in that domain so I can get my questions answered, and that'll help give me an idea of what decision I'm going to make as far as should I focus on exclusively self-defense or exclusively sport, or like we do at the school in Leesburg, we kind of self-defense is the number one priority, but if students want to compete, we're there to support that as well. So I think it's personal preference, and again, I'm biased because I want the self-defense aspect more than anything else. But again, if they're training sport, good on them. At least they're training, they're staying healthy, you know, and they're doing something that's beneficial to, you know, themselves and hopefully their community.
Yes, and personally, when I started Jiu-Jitsu in Peru, I started it as a sport. We were not addressing What do you do to close distance? What do you do to block punches? Right? Stuff like that. And I loved it. When I moved here to United States, um, I signed up a school affiliated to Helson Gracie, and coming from Helson and the Gracies, they never saw Jiu-Jitsu as a sport. Like Elliot Gracie, he said he never created a sport. He was always developing techniques for self-defense, and then when he was testing his Jiu-Jitsu against other martial arts, were in events where everything goes, punches and everything, right? No rules, no time limits. So he always saw jiu-jitsu as a martial art for self-defense, and then later became a very fun and widespread sport. People loves the sport aspect too, but I agree with Jay that jiu-jitsu, the priority should be the self-defense, because I guess a lot of schools do it backwards. They start the sport, and then along the way, when you're a brown belt or about to test for your black belt, then you had to get some of these self-defense techniques. But I think it'll make more sense if we start, and that's what we do. The basics, the fundamentals have to be to teach students to block punches from the guard, to close distance standing up, to learn takedowns right off the bat as their white belts. And then the sport will come later, right? So of course the sport is good too. If you practice for sport, like say you just go to a school from white belt, and you just do jiu-jitsu as a sport activity, does that mean you won't be able to defend yourself in a street fight? Does that mean that, you get the question? If you just go,
yes,
and all you do from day one is learning grabbing collars, pulling guard, going the spider guard, if you go to a self-defense, if you encounter a self-defense situation, does that mean you're not going to do well? You're not going to be able to defend yourself? What do you think?
I think that some form of martial arts training, especially grappling, is going to help them against the masses who are untrained. For them to have some form of training as far as being on the ground would probably help them. But in the end, are they trained, or are they effective against an active opponent who's on top of them, not only putting pressure on them, but trying to create space and trying to hurt them, essentially, trying to strike them, trying to knee them, trying to elbow them, trying to punch them. So the grappling part and the ground part they may be comfortable with, but they don't understand how to solve the part of the equation where, okay, now this person's on top of me, pressuring me, but now he's punching me, and I don't have a way to defend that, or I wasn't taught a way to defend that, or I don't have a lapel to grab, I don't have a sleeve to grab. Now what do I do? So I think the grappling aspect, they're still considered a very small percentage of the population that understands the little bit of grappling, but they're as far as them understanding the self-defense aspect of the grappling, that's probably where they're going to fall short, in my opinion.
Yes, I think, Christian.
Yeah, so we do fight simulation sometimes at the I think Thursdays, right? At the Basix, and I like that class because it kind of prepares you for the when you have an altercation in the street and somebody like exchange punches. I remember when I did my first MMA fight, it was crazy, man. Getting punched in the face. I thought I was like, okay, I just gonna go clinch, take the fight to the ground. The fight didn't win my favorite. He won by points. I think he did more strikes than I did. He threw more punches than I throw. Like I throw less punches, and yeah, I was getting punched in the face, and my hands had to, like, my body reaction my brain was telling my body, protect your face. It's totally different world. It's like for example, like Jay say, like you're used to grab the gi, right? Grab the gi, the lapel, do all the sport jiu-jitsu, always grabbing some type of clothes, right? But when you're shirtless or you have just a regular t-shirt, there's nothing to grab. I mean, you have to modify. You have to do whatever it takes to survive in the street.
I agree. I think you'll
Yes.
be fine if you just do sport jiu-jitsu in a self-defense scenario. Um, but there's been cases, right? Like a famous case is Ricardo Arona. He was Abu Dhabi champion back in the day with Quinton Rampage Jackson. And Arona got him in a triangle. And totally out of nowhere, Quinton Rampage picked him up and then slammed him, right? And Arona kept the triangle because in sport jiu-jitsu, uh, the slams are not allowed. But in a street fight or in these pride fights, slams are totally allowed. But Arona kept, so in his mind, maybe he still was kind of not expecting the slam to come, versus if the mindset would have been every time you get picked up, let go the triangle, right? I think it's something that Master Helson always talk about. Like if you do an armbar on somebody and you get picked up, let it go. If you do a triangle, let go. It's just keeping that mindset because you are thinking about performing the technique against an untrained opponent with an unexpected behavior who's trying to slam you. Of course, a jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, the guy's not going to slam you, but you still have to have in your mind if there was a guy here in an actual fight, right? He might try to do this. He might try to pick him up and slam me. So I had to have an idea what to do in those cases.
Right. And then
Right.
the emphasis of a bigger, stronger opponent. So like, the in competition, not so much pride. Pride was kind of like a pioneer of putting a giant versus a small guy. But nowadays, like the UFC or like your basic wrestling match, they have weight classes and they're able to pick each other up like that, But like if you're being attacked by somebody who's a giant, the idea of you being picked up in some way, shape, or form is present for the obvious reason that he's bigger, he's stronger, he may be more athletic, and you're a little bit smaller. So the idea of being picked up and slammed becomes almost like a bad guy, an untrained behavior. Whenever they get like they want to pick up and they want to slam you, whether it be standing or whether it be on the ground. So something to think about.
So yes, Henner talks about having a switch. What do you guys think about that? He said you should have a switch where when you're playing jiu-jitsu, you're just doing the grappling game, but if you get in a self-defense scenario, you already know you switch to a self-defense jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Go ahead, Christian.
Yes, you always have to keep in mind, and if you don't know if this person carry a knife, we have techniques for knife defense, right? We have techniques for club, we have techniques for everything. But sometimes, like I said at the beginning, the fight doesn't go to your favor, and whatever it takes to survive, right? And yes, the switch the Henry's talking about, like you go at your own pace when you play in jiu-jitsu in the gym. You have a partner. You both know the game, right? But if in the street this person is trying to hurt you, he's trying to make some damage. Sometimes like they trying to take your life, so you have to do whatever it takes. And we train the for the worst case scenarios always, like be on the bottom, like Jay said, the heavier and stronger attacker, right? We always train the worst case scenarios. We have like I say techniques with knives, guns, but the most I always been told this, the best technique is the best self defense is not getting a fight. If you don't, if you
True.
had to prevent the fight, the fight should be prevented. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. Sergio is watching. Sergio, what's up, brother?
That's Sergio.
How's it going? We were just saying hi to Taylor because we know that she's always watching our podcast. Um, Benefits of a sport, though. Benefits of practicing jiu-jitsu for competition. Are there any? Because we were kind of like just kind of naming the benefits of self-defense and why should self-defense be the most important, but does that mean we should neglect practicing sport jiu-jitsu? What do you guys think? Jay?
No, not at all. I think it complements the art, and it gives you the ability when you're training with your partner to examine multiple positions, multiple angles, multiple escapes, seeing what your body is capable of doing, based off of the techniques that and learning to kind of almost tailor your jiu-jitsu based off of your body, based off of your abilities, based off your natural movement ability. But yes, 100%. The only way to examine that obviously is through, playing jujitsu with your friend and competition, playing jujitsu, examining different types of submissions. Right now, the big thing obviously is attacking the legs, and everybody once that got really popular, everybody wanted to start attacking the legs, and then everybody had to start learning how to escape leg entanglements and leg attacks and foot attacks. But yes, I think 100% sport jiu-jitsu, it complements the sport. And notice how we use it. We say sport, all right, because there should be a distinction between the two. All right, sport is just that. All right, we're on a mat. There's a referee. There's rules. There's parameters. There's equal weight classes. There's equal ranks. So it takes all of those things into account, and in this controlled environment, and it gives you the ability to kind of almost test yourself against other competition, to test your jiu-jitsu against other competition. So I definitely think that sport should not be neglected, but it just depends on what school you go to, whether it's emphasized on the top of the tier here, or or if it's down here underneath the self-defense, the defending yourself, escaping a violent opponent or a violent attacker. But yes, 100% to answer the question, it definitely should be stressed, because what happened, some of your students are going to want to compete, and that they should be able to compete.
Cool. Christian?
Yeah, I recommend everyone to compete at least once. It the preparation. I like the preparation. Man, for MMA, it's more hardcore. Getting ready for a fight, right? You had to cut weight. Sometimes you starve yourself. You had to eat well. You had to get your vitamins. You had to get your muscle, your body in a good condition, because you're preparing to go against another individual that's doing the same thing in a fight, right? There's rules and everything, but the preparation, I like it a lot. Get ready, like always watch my weight, like for jiu-jitsu competition as well. I always like I step on the scale, and I look how much I weigh every day, and it keeps me in mind. It reminds me like watch what I eat and everything. Some people they, oh, I'm not competing. I can eat a cheeseburger. I can eat a soda, but it, and also when you go to the school, to the academy, or to practice jujitsu, sometimes that kind of affects. What you eat is what you are, right? So diet, conditioning, all that stuff is beneficial for your body. You're not doing any harm by getting ready, for um, competition. In it becomes a lifestyle. After that, you just automatically doing good things for your body. You know, everything it turns. Oh, this is like micro adjustments, right? Everything is jujitsu. You know, you see everything has a little bit alavanca. Everything
Mm.
has a little technique. You know, I was let me see. I was changing a tire the other day. Yeah, I have a impact gun, but I was in the road. I didn't have the impact gun, and I had just this tool set that comes with with the car. And I was like, man, I don't the nuts of the wheel were like really tight, and I was like, ah. I was thinking how to get the nuts loose, right? And I was like thinking, how can jujitsu help? And I was thinking leverage, you know. And I put the I don't know how to explain. Um, I put the tool like this on the ground, and I was because I couldn't get the nuts loose, right? And I was like turning the wheel, so the tool got it was holding onto the ground, and I was turning the wheel. So I was like, man, you know, this is leverage. You know, leverage in anything in life has leverage, right?
It reminds me
I
of
don't know if that makes sense. For
yes,
jiu-jitsu
yes,
guys, it would make sense. But for somebody who doesn't know jiu-jitsu, probably not, right?
yes. Like we were talking about shoveling, you have to have a technique, you know. Reminds me, you know, Freddy. Remember
Yes,
Freddy? He has created a tool called the needle. I think the needle. Have you seen him?
I saw the post on our group. Yes,
And apparently helps changing tires. I haven't seen
I think
exactly how it works.
it's to fix flat tires. So it has a needle and I don't know his pearl. There's some variations of that one that I've seen. I used it before, but I had to check on that one.
Yeah, shout out to Freddy if he's watching. Hopefully we'll see him soon.
We're promoting his product, so
And buy the needle, you guys.
we can get a cut.
Go check the needle, Freddy. Give us a, you know
commercial.
what?
Into commercial.
He's sponsoring us without him knowing. This program is sponsored by the needle. You guys, what was the other question? So yeah, I think sport is awesome. You should practice always a sport because sparring with another jiu-jitsu person who's also knowing what you are doing is going to push your technique, is going to put you in a scenario against a resisting opponent, is gonna refine your timing, right? It's gonna push your gas tank. It's gonna get you in shape. It's fun. That's the fun part of jiu-jitsu is the sport, right? So the self-defense is great, but the sport is what keeps you there, right? It keeps you coming back and keeps you challenging and keeps you figuring out things. And like you were saying, the leg locks. Now we have to figure out how to defend these leg locks, and it's so creative. People coming out with new things, and then you are like, oh, now how we defend this now? These people is doing this, right? And that's just the value of the sport jiu-jitsu, and it's so fun and engaging, and it's what keeps you engaged to come back to the mats and to play jiu-jitsu with your friend, right? And then you win, and it's a great satisfaction, and then you get tapped, right? And then you learn about, like, man, I got tapped today, and then how should I do next time, and that's what keeps it fun. And the sport is, you guys should always sport, practice jiu-jitsu, play jiu-jitsu with the self-defense mindset. I think that will be the perfect balance, right? Keep it both in a perfect balance. Practice sometimes, maybe if you can, a session where you spar with your partners, but you put gloves and light punches are allowed, so you're not doing crazy techniques,
So
right?
roll with a purpose.
Roll with a purpose. And that gives us the question from Jerry. Jerry asked, what sport techniques you should never use in a self-defense scenario? What techniques you should never use in a self-defense
I
scenario?
think I think any technique that is going to allow you or to allow your opponent to be able to transfer energy enough to knock you out, whether it be standing up or on the ground. Any technique that requires that is it's a deal breaker if you can't have a lapel grip or if you can't have a
Give us
sleeve grip.
name a few examples, Jay. Maybe some techniques for the
Oh my
jiu-jitsu.
gosh, De La Hiva's a huge example. Amazing sport guard. A lot of sweeps, a lot of abilities to take your partner's back. But in a self-defense situation, if your hands are grabbing the sleeve and grabbing the foot on the other side, you have no protection on your face, you know, and your opponent is standing right over you, so the opponent can generate power coming downward with gravity on their side and is able to deliver probably a knockout blow. So like De La Hiva guard, I would definitely caution people using spider guard, because
spider guard
relies on
sleeves.
you having
I think
sleeves. Very difficult to do spider guard in nogi because you have to hold the wrist, and it's very easy for your opponent to pull out of those wrists.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, so things like that, and I would just say any technique that allows your opponent to be able to get his power onto you and to successfully make contact and knock you out. Any
Donkey guard
requires that. So, what's that?
Donkey guard.
Oh yeah.
Should I tell the story of the donkey guard?
We have time.
Can you? Are you just? Can you? I guess you can.
Yes. So the donkey guard started becoming famous by Jeff Glover, and it's giving your back, right? Giving your back and walking backwards, and then jumping back. The people who do jiu-jitsu knows, but it's the most, like, I would say, if there's a top of techniques you should not do in self-defense, is the donkey guard. But we were at the school and we asked Helson, people is doing this donkey guard, right? And when they're walking backwards towards you, what do you do? And Helson said, you just kick him in the butt, right?
I was the guinea
that
pig
you,
for that.
And Christian was the one, like, they are doing this, and Helson kicked Christian. And I paused the video, right? And then later on, there was a viral video of a competition. I don't remember exactly where somebody was doing the donkey guard and the opponent kicked him, right? And then he got disqualified, right? And later on, the guy texted the Facebook page saying, I saw the Helson defense for donkey guard, which was the kick. That's why I used it. That's why I kicked him. And then the story finished with me telling Helson this, like, Helson, somebody kick when the donkey guard was coming and kick and get disqualified. And then Helson said, he did it wrong. I didn't kick. I put my foot and I push. It's a push. So for competition, you can push the same way you push with your hand. You just do it with your foot. He kicked. Then he got disqualified. He did it wrong. Cool. Who we have here?
I guess we had to break that down next time, Marco. We had to come out with a video and break the little push.
The push, breakdown of the push. Henner is here.
Henner Gracie?
No. Henner 2006. This is Ben. Ben Dorr. How's it going, brother? He says, treat it like MMA. Better to be on top than playing guard unless you are being Maya. I agree. Like, yep. Remember that video of the guy inverting upside down and hopping backwards, inverted? That's the worst thing you can do in a self-defense scenario.
The butt scoop.
The butt scoop, yes.
And then like it's important to, like, in GC, like when we teach Gracie combatives, we on the pull guard lesson, we always add a disclaimer. Look, all the elements have to be in line in order for you to pull guard with your opponent. You have to be just you and him. If it's him and his friends and you pull guard, you can guarantee they're going to probably start kicking you. The surface, is conducive to you pulling guard. So the idea that we say, look, pulling guard's a good option for you as long as all these parameters or all these thresholds are met. Like you don't have multiple attackers. You don't have, of course, multiple attackers. I don't know a martial art that's good against multiple attackers. So you name a martial art that's good against multiple attackers, and you make a video and you'll be a millionaire.
I mean, they try to do that in the 80s, right? Teach the ninja you can fight multiple attackers. I mean, I don't think that's actually realistic. One martial art that's guaranteed is going to teach you to fight multiple attackers, right?
Right.
But I think it's good if you have some self. It doesn't even have to be just jiu-jitsu. You have good boxing, if you have good wrestling, if you have good jiu-jitsu, you're going to be better prepared to deal with multiple attackers versus if you don't have anything. But the question here is it okay not to compete? Am I still getting better if I don't compete? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Christian.
You can be a gym monster. You can be one of those people that nobody knows, and you can be really, really good at jiu-jitsu. You don't have to compete. I recommend and everybody compete at least once, but like I said, you don't have to compete. Just show up to class. Jake, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I always like to look at that philosophy as that, look, we've always learned something. The moment we're born, we start learning, and we don't regress. We get better in whatever we're learning. It could be learning how to walk, learning how to eat hard food, learning how to have relationships with our siblings and our parents, and all of that is simple repetition and practicing it and continually observing it and continually doing it. And nothing is different with jiu-jitsu. You keep practicing it, you make it yours, you make it a lifestyle, you make it something that's dear to you, and you're going to get better at it. It's inevitable that you're going to get better at it. You may not feel it or you may not see it, because a lot of students make the mistake of equating their success to the amount of times they've been tapped or to the amount of times they've tapped their gym partners. So I think if they get rid of that, then they'll see that they are improving. That if they get rid of those little check marks and say, listen, I got tapped 5 times this week, and then next week I got tapped 10 times, so I'm getting worse. If they kind of lose that mindset, I think they'll be fine. But yes, 100%, they're gonna get better. They're gonna get better. It's inevitable.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons a lot of people quit jiu-jitsu. Sometimes they feel like they're not improving anything. They're getting tapped all the time. They sign up for a tournament. They go to the tournament. They get destroyed. They come back, and after you never see them again. Right?
Yes.
So you had to have the mentality that there's always gonna be somebody better than you. There's probably gonna be training longer, or probably just a prodigy. You can be somebody who just signed up.
Or is younger, or have a previous martial art, a previous wrestling background, or judo.
Huge, yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's also very important to understand that I'm not trying to be better than the next person. I'm just trying to be better than the person I was yesterday.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be better than my training partner. I'm just trying to be better than the me yesterday or the me last week, and that's all it should be about.
And we always we tell the kids class, iron sharpen iron. So by making my partner better, he helps me get better, right?
Now my question, go ahead, finish, Herman.
And then getting better at putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. If you don't like being on the bottom of the mount, if you don't like being on the bottom of the side mount, I recommend putting yourself where you're on the bottom of the mount and the bottom of the side mount. because the more you're
Yes.
there, the more you're going to learn to escape, and the more you're going to learn to relax.
And
And
also,
then,
go
I
ahead.
think
yes, then you start to be comfortable. And then whenever you're comfortable, you're able to see the escape, or you're able to see the submission, versus when you're scared, you're struggling, and you're like, I have to get out of here, I have to get out of here. And then you start flailing about. Professor Hidon Gracie says submissions don't happen until you start doing all crazy, all moving your hands all crazy, escaping. So enjoy the position that you're in and try to find a viable escape. A well calculated escape where you're at. That way your opponent doesn't have the ability to choke you or to arm lock you.
And once in a while, ask your partner if you're on the bottom of the mound to start throwing some slaps and try to escape when he's throwing slaps. And then you have also the self-defense escape for
Right.
mount versus the sport escape is more like both hands pushing the knee for elbow escape, right? But that's gonna get your face exposed, right? So you
Right.
have to have a more like street self-defense approach to escapes as well. We have here Dante, brother, hermano, ¿cómo estamos? ¿Cómo está Perú? Dante, so should I work on my electric chair for street fight?
Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo, man. I don't even know what the electric chair is. Is it
On Hoyler. Remember on Hoyler at Metamoris?
oh, the lockdown? And
Yeah, like he had him in half guard, and then he reached under his leg, and he was separating his leg. with his
oh,
leg
okay,
to-
okay.
Remember this?
Like a splits.
Yeah,
Okay,
like the
okay.
splits. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, Dante, nice to see you, brother. Fellow Peruvian friend and black belt under Hoist. The front splits. That's the electric chair. But are you guys working on any like sport, like a specific sport? Jiu-Jitsu, like when Ganon show us the newbies. I've been trying to like pull lapels and practice more lapels. That's good, right?
yeah.
Just
It's good
feeding
to
the
play.
lapel. I'm just working on feeding the lapel the first time. Once I get it the first time, that's a major accomplishment for me. Feeding it the second time, that's going to be a whole nother different piece
Yes,
of the puzzle.
and I know that I might not use that ever in a if it happens a self-defense scenario. I'm not gonna be looking for lapels to fit, But I still love to learn because it's fun
Yeah.
and it's a good technique for sport jiu-jitsu. Now the question is for you guys: am I still getting better? The question before was, am I still getting better if I don't compete? And I think the consensus is yes, you still can get better if you don't compete. The question now, I just thought, is am I still getting better if I don't spar? What do you guys think?
As long as you practice the techniques, you do a little. You don't have to spar, but if you drill the techniques, you might not get the results right away, but you get in that little muscle memory, and your body you studying the technique. You don't have to spar. Some people probably have a physical limitations or something. Some people they cannot spar. They have asthma or something. They get tired really quick. But as long as they practice the technique, I think that's a major accomplishment.
I agree.
So I mean, new
Okay.
students, we teach them that these techniques that are learning exclusively in Gracie combatives is more for an untrained opponent. So if they grasp the concept that they're getting better than somebody untrained on the streets, I think that's good enough for them. Now, when you put jiu-jitsu up against jiu-jitsu, you have to be able to feel your partner's energy in order for you to have a well-timed and well-calculated escape. I will say that from that much. If it's jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, there's a little bit more of a chess game involved there. Okay, so in order for you to actually feel the pressure and then able to feel the window of opportunity whenever I want to escape, You almost have to have an active, resistive jiu-jitsu partner attacking you versus somebody who isn't trained in the street that I may be exclusively preparing for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Now going back to combatives, there's not sparring on combative, right? Until you pass the test, until you after you get your combatives built, now you're allowed to spar when you come to master cycle. And a lot of people get upset. They want to spar. They want to get the feeling, to like trying to get the armbar on somebody. But when we do fight simulation, that's actually sparring. When we do drills, that's I feel like that's a sparring. When we do
or when we do, sorry to interrupt, when we do the positional, like just mount, try to hold the mount, or side mount, hold, and then we do like go for real. But it's full sparring from standing, but it's a positional sparring. So they're getting better. They're not sparring.
That's more jiu-jitsu with the purpose. You're doing positional with the purpose of getting out of the side mount, getting out of the mount, right? Of completing a sweep.
Yes, our brother here said, it doesn't matter what you went to the gym, is what you did in the gym, right? Speaking of not enough time, what's your name, brother? I've been talking to him for all these days, but I don't know if I know you or not. Anyway, he said, Henner, not Gracie, I hope you can get better without sparring, but I will find out when I finally come back to class. For example, the people who's not going to school because the pandemic, but they are doing the solo drills, they're watching videos, they're getting better. They might not be sparring, but they're getting better.
They beating the guy who just sit on the couch.
100%. Good.
Yes.
Good, Christian.
And the idea, the work ethic, and the commitment that they're showing by still actively training either on Zoom and watching their videos is going to help them immensely when they do come back live in person. So it's a win-win situation for them. If they're that committed on Zoom, their commitment's going to transfer over whenever they come to live training, and they're going to, sky's the limit for them. They're going to get better.
Our brother Anthony Castillo is watching also. He's saying positional scenarios. 100%. That's a good way. 100%. You guys, Heather asked, submissions for self-defense. Submissions for self-defense. I guess rear naked chokes. Oh yes, guillotines. Good. But I would say even more important than submissions in a self-defense could be control. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you gave me a choice, I would say always control, always exhausting them, controlling them, and then essentially they tap themselves out. No submission needed. So in terms of a submission, anytime you strangle your opponent and make them unconscious, they're not going to attack you. Or if it's just control them until they're so exhausted that they can't even push you anymore, and they can't even roll, and they can't even fight you anymore. They're so tired. So in the hierarchy of things, control is going to be number one in all of it. But in submission wise, any strangulation that's going to put them to sleep, render your attacker unconscious for an amount of time so you can escape. 100%.
Did you say higher? What's the word?
The hierarchy.
Hierarchy. Do you stole that from? Can we talk to John? Can we talk to John Danaher right now?
Work your way through a system.
John Danaher. Let me ask the question. John Danaher. What is Jiu-Jitsu for you? What's the strategy of Jiu-Jitsu?
Marco, that question can be summed up with one word. Total annihilation. Wait, that's 2 words. The main thing is to get your very aggressive, dangerous opponent to the ground. Work past their ever-aggressive legs. Work your way through a system and hierarchy of pins, and then start working your submissions via wedges, strangulations, and leg locks, as you've seen with Gordon Ryan on multiple occasions winning the ADC tournament. Now, 2 hours later, and Marco, that's how we work our way through a submission of hierarchies of pins and wedges.
Remember.
Don't ignore 50%.
What's that?
Don't ignore the 50% of the lower body.
Don't ignore the 50% of the lower body.
I asked Christian, why don't you teach the little champs, Marco? Why don't you teach the little champs chokes? You're ignoring 20% of the body.
20%.
True. Wrist locks, 5% of the body type. Oh, not enough time is David Schneid.
Oh,
How's it going, brother? We haven't seen you last week in class. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Everybody goes to sleep. Rear naked choke, guillotine, triangle. Submissions for self-defense. 100%. James Freire, he asked if Christian can describe the difference between acute and obtuse.
Bro.
Christian, go. Christian. He's asking.
Why I always have to get picked on that? Marco,
what's an acute?
Tell him the story, Marco.
No, that when we're teaching Jiu-Jitsu and we say acute angle and then...
And there's always a headlock one.
Right.
I'm like, rip. I don't know.
So we're teaching the technique, and then I asked you guys, what's the angle here? Is this acute or obtuse? And we asked Christian, and he has no idea what we're talking about. Jay, what do you think about? Jay, he left.
Jay, he disappeared.
Sorry, Christian.
So yeah, remember Dimitri? Man, he always had a blast when you were like when we had that particular class, the Hello Escape one, and you asked that question, and he'll be there like just waiting for.
You know what would be awesome if the teachers in a school will teach angles by showing Jiu-Jitsu moves.
Man,
that would be
all kinds of lawsuits.
Lawsuits. I was thinking more like the kids will actually pay attention, especially they're teaching over. Are the kids coming back to school now?
90s.
Are the kids going back to school? That's great, right? I think the parents are happy.
Depends on the county. I think Loudoun's going hybrid, different grades. I think kindergarten and some of the elementary grades are going back 2 days a week. And then I think next month, March the 6th, I believe middle school and high school will start going back 2 days a week. So, pretty interesting.
I see. Jeff says, I'll do it. He'll teach the name of the angles by showing Jiu-Jitsu positions. How's it going, brother? Jeff. Good guy, Jeff. What else? Submissions for self-defense. Mindset, is it okay to compete? I think we kind of cover everything. There was another question, but I don't think that we're going to have time. Maybe this is the last question we can touch and discuss. What will be the competition preparation mindset? Let's say you decide, all right, I'm going to do my first competition. I never competed. Christian says it's good to compete. What will be my preparation mindset going into a competition versus just sparring every day with my friends at the academy? Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Christian.
So I think it will be the learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Learning. It's always the learning experience, man. You always like this last competition. I went, I compete. The tournament didn't win my favor, but I was amazed what the other guy was doing, and we make friends. You know, I didn't go there with the like, hey, I'm here to kick ass and be better than everybody. I'm the better man. Uh, I don't have that mindset. I had the mindset that like I wanna be like a spongy. I wanna absorb everything that I see. I see good techniques on one mat. The competitors, they were doing some amazing techniques, and I'm fascinating watching. I just watching what they doing, and then when my match was ready, I start. I got my mindset. Okay, let's do it. Let's make the best of it, and might the better competitor win. And I got submitted, but I didn't get angry. I didn't say like we always tell the kids with Jay, hey, cancel my membership. I'm not gonna go back to the gym. I was like, man, how do you submit me? How do you do that? Can I get again in that position? And thankfully we got in contact with Gannon, and he went and showed us how he submit me. I was like, man, that was really good technique. I never seen that guard before, and now I'm working on defeating it. Don't tell Gannon. But yeah, that's I think that would be one of the mindsets, just the learning experience, making friends, that's it. What do you think, Marco? You compete?
uh, did I tell you my story of my first competition? My
Mm-mm.
first competition, I lost in 15 seconds. The guy took me down, went to pass my guard. I total and got me in maybe like a cloak choke. And I didn't tap. The referee stopped it because he thought I was out. And then I got up and I said, "Ref, I didn't tap."
Marco,
But
Marco,
I
you
was,
have
I was like a second from tapping, from passing out maybe. And the referee is like, "Oh, you were in the submission for a long time," and so I was like, "Okay, yes." I mean, I don't know why I was protesting, but really he was better. I can feel it. But anyway, what I learned there is that um, the you have it's different sparring at the academy than going to a competition, right? Sometimes at the academy you spar for there's no time. You just go spar and have fun and explore, and it should be like that, right? But if you're gonna compete, you have to learn the rules, start doing your training with the time limit. Let's say you're a white belt and the match is 4 minutes. Start doing matches of 4 minutes with points. Start playing, knowing the rules and playing the point game. Design a strategy, and you have to, because there is so little time. You have to kind of like up your cardio, because on those 4 minutes you have to like give it 100%, and design a strategy for sport, right? So the intensity change is no more chilling, just relaxing, letting my guard pass, giving, and I think that will be the best. And then you learn the mindset, how to prepare mentally, how to feed yourself. Sometimes there's been competitions where I didn't eat anything because I didn't want to have to be digesting food,
like
right?
me.
And then there was this competition when Christian went to Waffle House and ate waffles and hash browns and sausage and eggs, and then went to compete. That was too much. So you learn how to
Yeah.
you learn how to stay relaxed. You learn how to calm your mind because you're gonna be afraid. So I feel like that should be the preparation for if
I,
you're planning on doing a competition.
I recommend everybody competing for the first time. Watch the Hickson Gracie Choke documentary. It's amazing.
Get
Like,
motivated.
get motivated.
Mm-hmm. Jay, you have any?
I think, yeah, most importantly, I think again, just if you're prospectively wanting to compete, and you've never done it before, then I would approach the people who have been there and who have multiple competitions under the belt, and I'd ask them, can you give me a plan? What's the plan? What should I expect? What's the training regimen like? What should I be training for? 3 or 4 minutes? And then I would have them avidly study the rules of each tournament. That way they don't get an unnecessary disqualification, or they understand what advantages are. They understand what a referee's decision is. They understand the scoring. If you don't know the rules backwards and forward, I feel like you probably aren't ready. You should study the rules. You should understand and be a student of that particular tournament. You should know exactly what to expect rule-wise when you go into that tournament. And 100% ask, your school's professor, or solicit help from people in the school that have been competing or who actively compete, so they can kind of give you an idea of what to expect, whether it be how do I lose weight, what should I prep for as far as time-wise, what submissions are legal, what's illegal, what can I do from this position. I like the way that we have the competition practice set up. We do a little bit of technique, but the emphasis is more on, I have to pass my partner's guard in 30 seconds. I have to pass it, right? Or I have to escape my partner's mount in less than 30 seconds, all right? Or they're going to get 3 seconds is typically the threshold of time for you to escape from positions. So there is no, I'm going to settle in and start finding the escape. That the plan is to bump, recover, try to get your legs back into the party, or for that matter, at any position. But again, being a student of the rules of that particular tournament, and then just soliciting help from the people in the school that have actively been to competition before,
Yes, my brother here, Anthony, he said stand-ups and takedown preparations. And I remember that's a great advice, because I remember, since I just mentioned my first experience in a tournament, I remember standing on my feet was super weird, because at the academy we would always start on our knees, right, or on the ground. We will kind of like not really spend too much time standing. So when I went to the tournament, we started standing. It's not like I was totally unaware, lost, but definitely I felt a little bit uncomfortable. Like I at that point in my first competition, I was like, man, I think I should have a plan for standing up, some standing techniques.
And older jiu-jitsu tournaments, like I did some competitions back in 2012, 2013, and even then there wasn't a lot of guard pulling. There was a lot of people standing, getting grips, getting collar ties. But nowadays it sees more and more at competitions. They slap, bump fists, and there'll be an opponent that sits down immediately.
Especially, you're right, especially since the lock legs revolution started, especially in the advanced divisions, lighter weights, you don't see them standing and wrestling. It's always sitting down. Sometimes they double pull guard, because they want to go straight to the leg. Yeah. They both sit down. Yeah. So yes, you're right. You see less. I wish they will make a change in the jiu-jitsu competitions, because I do love.
They give them like an advantage point for the person who stays standing.
Yes.
The person that pulls guard.
Yes. Something like that, because there is a beauty on the takedowns, and it does look more like a actual fight, if it's kind of the sport wants to resemble a fight versus two people sitting down. It's kind of unappealing for the public out there. Let's say you bring your grandpa, jiu-jitsu is the most effective self-defense, right? And you see two guys just sitting down playing footsies. It's like, what are you, go box, right? You're like, what are you doing? So Christian, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I remember my first tournament. I didn't even know I was gonna compete, and you signed me up for that tournament. You told me it was, how long did I was at Fight Wars? I was a student for like 4 or 3 months, and then you say, hey, you're gonna compete in this Copa Nova in jiu-jitsu tournament, and I was like, do I?
Like what?
Yes, you did good for just being training for a few months, man. That's that's great. Cool, guys. I think we're getting to the end. We've been talking for like an hour more. There is another question, maybe for a different time. Conserving energy when rolling. What to do to learn to preserve energy. So maybe we can talk about that in a future. And Miles wants to say something there.
Well,
Jay?
first, Marco, before we discuss that, let me talk to you about
No.
the 20 chapter video of mindset
Oh.
that we're going to talk about. The first video was 2 hours long, talking about wedges, pins, frames, and the ability to overcome your 3 hours later. And you guys, that is our theory on the why we should have a proper jiu-jitsu mindset. I cannot stress further enough, to improve your jiu-jitsu game, you have to have a proper mindset in conjunction with proper guidance and proper...
Guys,
Sorry.
Wake up.
it's been a huge honor for me.
You guys should do a sketch.
Man, I was thinking that too, but like, okay, look, if it goes viral for that, right? But then now you have Bernardo Ferreira and John Danaher, and they're mad. They may not like it.
No.
You know?
Do you think? No, I think they're good sports. I think
you
they'll
never
be.
know. You see how the micro adjustment went viral.
Then they show up to the school, dojo storm. They dojo storm the school.
Gordon Ryan shows up at the school.
Gordon Ryan, the dead squad.
Nikki Rodriguez and Nikki Ryan and
You don't want
Enzo
that.
Gracie. They show up.
You don't want the smoke.
David says breathe. Learn how to breathe in preparation for a tournament. And Anthony Castillo says Hickson, I think he does penalize bad scooting on his competitions. Cool, guys. I think Abu Dhabi too. If you sit down.
So
I think what happened is in Abu Dhabi, most of the time, the jiu-jitsu practitioners will allow the wrestler to take them down, and now the wrestler has to keep engaging. If they take them down and stand back up, the wrestler gets a penalty point for disengaging. Does that make sense?
that will be that should be penalized too.
Right. So I think like a lot like Gordon Ryan's a good example. Like he had a match against a wrestler.
Cyborg?
I believe his name. I don't think it was Cyborg. It was a freestyle match through Fight to Win, I believe, against a gentleman by the name of Bo Ryan. I think his name was, a wrestler.
Okay.
And what happened is that he allowed the wrestler to take him down, and then once that happened, Gordon Ryan he had to remain engaged with Gordon Ryan. So now Gordon Ryan has him in his area, you know.
Right.
So I think he gave up the 2 points to pull him down in the guard, and there was a submission shortly thereafter. So.
Got it. All right, guys. Any questions? Somebody who's watching? Any comments? If not, I think it's been a. What's that?
if you want us to say hi to somebody.
If you want us to send shout out to anybody, last comment right here. Last comment. Knowing when to use tension and when to relax instead of using tension the whole time and getting gas out.
Yes.
Being firm and being rigid.
Being firm and being rigid. Yes, and that could be our next podcast about how to conserve energy. Right? Knowing when to. Miles,
Yeah.
Is Miles wants to say something, Jay?
Miles, come over here. Hold on.
And we're gonna close this podcast with the
This
final
podcast-
words.
This
Of
podcast
Miles.
was brought to you by
Miles. Say
Freddy's
something,
Meal.
Miles.
What is it called? The product?
Miles,
Miles, over here, look.
hey Miles, say hi to the guy. Hi to the family, Miles. This is Miles, you guys, our mascot.
What is the white
Our
belt, 3
mascot, the
stripes,
Basix mascot.
blue belt? Jay,
What's his level? What's Miles' level?
what's his rank?
His rank, 10-day free trial.
10-day free trial. Awesome.
Guys, this podcast was brought to you by Freddy's Needle.
Freddy's Needle. Don't forget, check it out. We should have Freddy here. We should have Freddy here promoting his needle. You guys, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow if weather permits. Keep training, getting better. Final words? Spread the word.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe.
Have a good night. Stay safe. See you on the mats. Eat your vegetables. Take care, everybody.